Thank you. Thank you.
Well, stop that.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be back with you, and I do have a lot to share, so I'm just going to try to jump right into this. From death to life, that the end is the beginning. The summary of this talk was, you can experience the power of resurrection today. How do we get past fear to experience the power of letting go? How do we reap the benefits of allowing what has passed and no longer serving us to die so we can live a new life? Is there a way to step into the 3D version of you that is more aligned with who you truly are? Resurrection gives us the power to change everything. And I am totally fine if you, I would suggest, you might want to take notes, okay? There's going to be a lot of information here that I think is extremely valuable. And I think it's obvious that Easter Sunday is a very Christian holiday or celebration. And I do a project also that's called Bible Redefined. Which I've talked about every time I've been here. Bible Redefined is a way of bringing the quantum nature to the ancient scriptures. And so you might know that the Bible is originally written in Hebrew and Aramaic and in Greek. And we're given, an English translation and don't always understand what the process is when we read it in English. And it's like, I had a great grandmother who lived in East Texas, and all of the food was mostly processed there at her house. She had a lot of animals and lots of acres. So I was able to see homemade ice cream straight from the cow, like in the whole process, And I was able to see, a chicken that I was familiar with every day suddenly end up on the table, for dinner. So when I talk about what the process is like to get the English translation, I'm saying it's not farm to table to get that English translation. It goes through a process that really waters it down, and you just don't get the rich quality of what the original was like. So that's what my project Bible Redefined is about, and how it has the potential and the power to free us from the religious mindset. Because when we think of Easter and resurrection, we instantly have this idea that comes from religion. But the nature of resurrection is not necessarily a religious event that happened one day in this world's history because of one man. And this is going to be full of metaphor and allegory, so you're going to have to follow me, and I hope you understand. Well, I'll just say this. So I'm going to share a dream that I had. So a part of Tribe of I Am and THV, the Healing Voices, occasionally I'll do dream interpretation sessions. And I've had some weird ones, especially last night. But dreams are a unique language to and for you. And if you ever get a chance to be a part of a dream interpretation session, it can be life-changing. And you can begin to learn your language that's coming through your dreams. So I had this dream. I knew it was special to me But as I was going through the interpretation, I realized, oh, this is not just about me. I think there are others who are ready to know what this is about. So it happened on the portal day of February 22nd. And that was when Venus, the planet of love, was conjoined with Mars, the planet of action and motivation, determination, leadership. And the angel number 222 is about overcoming negativity and eradicating fear, transforming negativity into constructive thinking, or scrutinizing cyclical negativity, allowing positivity to become the dominant mental landscape, noticing duality and transmuting it or alchemizing it. So, the dream. An epic journey is quickly coming to an end as the dwarf realizes the end is the beginning. Where he's trying to go, what he's trying to accomplish, is at the start. He's about to descend a rock wall to the entrance into what seems to be an accessible cave hundreds of feet above sea level. He says, "The end is the beginning, and the end happens to be my true flame." It's night, but he is confident. The dwarf is me. And that was the dream. So now I'll break down each part of the dream, and hopefully we can all receive some application from this. The dwarf was Tyrion Lannister. Does anybody know that character? From the Game of Thrones. The dwarf from the Game of Thrones, okay? In Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister is the heir to Casterly Rock. That's just the name of their home. And his name means rock, and it means royal, which plays right into him being a part of this royal family and their home being Casterly Rock. And they also have leadership over what's called King's Landing. But he knows he'll never reach the throne because he's a dwarf. He's aware of his imposition, right, as a dwarf, and he reads a lot to sharpen his mind in order to be of use to his family. And this is an attempt to deal with the shame of being blamed for his mother's death. So during his birth, his mom died, and he's a dwarf. And there's also the shame of being ignored by his father, overlooked by his siblings, and mocked by society in general. So he's studious and he's clever. He's learned to use his mind as a way to make up for all of this tragedy that seems to be, he seems to be the center of so much tragedy. He's irreverent, he's a drunk, he's a bit of a scoundrel in the beginning of the show, and yet he's very adept at playing the Game of Thrones. And he ends up showing a lot of his heart, that he really does have heart to help people. He calls himself a bastard because he feels unwanted, unworthy, not good enough, and yet he's very adept at playing the Game of Thrones, which is to say outthinking others or doing what is necessary for the bittersweetness of better and worse, in order to secure his position and power, which is the only game that the ego has ever known, right? Like, the Game of Thrones is about kingdoms at war, and you just see all of these people fighting for what they can gain. Okay, he calls himself a bastard because he feels unwanted, unworthy, not good enough. And this is humanity scrambling for self-worth in the ravages of self-loathing. Okay, so he's born as a dwarf. He kills his mother, is how the the story is projected onto him. And that's the notion of the self-loathing. He doesn't love himself, and no one seems to love him, which is why he spends a lot of time at the brothel, and he falls in love with whores, as it's said. And again, his name means rock and royal. Now I'm wondering which one of us hasn't felt unwanted, unworthy, or not good enough at some place or time in our lives. So now I'm going to try to connect this to the Bible Redefined project, because I'm talking about all of this metaphor, and the Bible is full of it. It's full of it at a universal scale. And what I mean is the language is multidimensional. So when we talk about Jesus Christ and resurrection, for example, it is applicable in the 3D, which means our logical mind right here in this place, space, time. But it's applicable at higher levels that that are timeless and personless. So there's one of the disciples of Jesus, his name is Peter. Peter's name means stone and rock. Okay, so I'm instantly making the connection with Tyrion Lannister. His name means rock and royal, and this name Peter also means stone or rock. Now, in folklore, dwarves are skilled mountain dwellers who are unafraid of the challenge and the solitude. And this is the path of those who are called into the heart of the mountain. And remember, in the dream, there's a cliff, and he realizes he can descend and go into the heart of the mountain. And this is what, in folklore, dwarves are known for, dwelling in the heart of the mountain. And there's a certain hardship that's there. So this dream is about the path of those who are called into the heart of the mountain, the challenge and the solitude. I'm going to read from one of my translations that is going to help us better understand the connection between Peter and Tyrion. And if you'd like to read along, you can. You can read it from your phone if you'd like. It's so the Bible Redefined project is at my website, lancehoward.net, and you can find all of this there. Normally I would have had slides, but I just felt like I wanted to sit with you and kind of like have this feel different than the more logical thing I may oftentimes do. So he has to descend the rock wall to the entrance of the cave. And he's hundreds of feet above sea level. And he's very his mind is set. He knows that the beginning is the end. He knows that everything he's working for is already complete, and it's at the beginning. So to descend the rock wall, it's literally just a rock face, and there's a path down there that is going to lead him into the entrance of the cave. So to descend is to humbly surrender and get out of the logical ego mind. And to access the cave, it means to enter into the rock. Going over the cliff, in the dream, I'm seeing this from like a camera view. I'm seeing the water out there, and I'm seeing him approach the edge of the cliff, and he seems reckless. He doesn't care. But what I mean is just his confidence. He knows that what he's looking for is waiting for him at the beginning, at the entrance of the cave. So he's like, I'm going for it. It seems dangerous. It seems nearly impossible. Not just climbing down a rope ladder, okay, but that the accomplishment, the fulfillment is at the start. Where he's trying to go and what he's been attempting to accomplish is at the start. Okay, so Peter and Tyrion are connected as one and the same person. And I'm saying the dwarf is me, but I'm saying we all know what it's like to feel unwanted or unloved or uncertain or ashamed or guilty or whatever. And in this sense, we all embody this character. So from Matthew 16:13 through 19, I'm just going to read. Who do people say I, the true I, the child of humanity, the descendant of Adam, the primordial human being? Who do they say I am? They said, well, some say you are John the Immerser, some say you are Elijah, others say you are Jeremiah or one of the prophets. You know, those ones who speak divine messages and interpret the divine will under inspiration of the Sacred One. And then he asks, but who and what do you say about I am? Or who and what do you say that I am? Or who do you say the true I is? Or what do you say about that I am? Okay, so all of these ors are the various ways it could be translated because of the poetic nuances of the language. And so here's Peter. Peter speaks up and he says, you are the I. The I is the anointed one. The I is the child or the expression of the living, quickening higher power, the great I am. I is the anointed one, the progeny of the one true self. You are, or you are is the anointed one. So Jesus replies, fortune and happiness belongs to you. You are well off, right on the mark, level, prosperous, stable, strong, and guided, Peter, because this was not made clear to you by anything in this physical, three-dimensional experience, but by the parent of the universe. And I'm telling you something, you are Peter, and on this rock, the truth which you have spoken, I, the great anointed one, can and will confirm and construct the community of those who are called, divinely summoned, or invited. And the doors of Hades, or the world, or the matrix, or the mindset of death, and darkness, and obscurity will not overpower them. And I will give you, all of you, and them, the keys of the fully formed extension of power. Determined, centralized, purposeful authority, the creative word, the empowering vision, and the counsel that rules by its ability to express the most obvious next step for a group and an individual. And I will give you access to the quality of rulership and the ruling principles that guide your lives toward sacred unity. And I will give you ownership. Every time you hear the word I, it's in quotation marks, okay? It's not a singular person, okay? I will give you the ownership of the sacred world, realm, or universe, or vibration of sound and light and energy, which vibrates without limit throughout the entire manifested cosmos, extending from a center that is nowhere and everywhere, vibrating through all of life, constantly reporting that nothing is separate, everything is one. Whatever you figuratively, mentally, and emotionally wind together or bind in knots, or if you knit or tie or hang on to it in physical existence, this three-dimensional world of particle and form, it will be bound in the multi-dimensional world of empowering and creative vision, vibration, sound, light, and energy. And whatever you loosen or let go of, or you drop, or you untangle, or you dissolve, or melt away in this physical world will be loosened in the world of empowering vision, vibration, sound, and light. So the rock represents an understanding of a timeless truth that there's only one I in the place, in this room, on this planet, in this universe. There's only one I. And it is the very sense of meaning and belonging that Tyrion, myself, we are seeking, but we seek it outwardly, right? I seek to appear acceptable by sitting in this chair and dressing a certain way and waking up and making sure I washed my eyes out, and I hope to appear acceptable. I did not have the audacity to settle into the power of my identity and just get out of bed and come here in my pajamas. You know, would you accept me in that? Does it even matter if I accept myself? Tyrion knows he'll never sit on the throne. We think we aren't good enough and that there is no throne available to us. We must realize the laws of God, or to say it another way, the principles of true identity are true reality. True identity is that I that I'm talking about. Okay, and the last time I was here, I remember asking, and I remember it so well because Bobby, you just came right out with it. I said, who is sitting in your chair right now? And who wants to give me that answer?
I am.
There it is. I am. I am. So the you are and the I am are inevitably connected, which means I cannot separate myself from you. In wisdom, I can't separate myself from you. And in wisdom, you cannot separate yourself from me. I am, you are. And then when you say it, it's the reflection, right? I am, you are. We're sitting on our thrones right now. But will we own, or yes, will we take ownership of that birthright, which is the I am? There's only one appearing in many forms. Human thrones are not necessary because by birthright we are kings and queens. Kings and queens of the heavenly realm. So when I read all this about whatever you bind or whatever you let go of, if you let go of it or if you bind it here, it will be let go of or bound in the heavenly realm. That is the realm that that we are true citizens of. And we have full access and power to utilize. You know you have the power, and I'm going to give you a negative example that has slipped from your mouth from time to time. It goes something like, see, this always happens to me. You know, I just knew it. Of course it worked out that way. That's you utilizing the power and creating something negative. When will you make it turn around and go the other way? Everything works out for me. I knew it would. No one can keep us off our throne except ourselves. And that is to say, the ignorance of our own ego. The honor of kings. It is the honor, majesty, and glory of the great one, or the great one true self, which we have called God, to hide or conceal a matter like a secret mystery, like a hidden truth for those who are ready to know. It is concealed to those who are unaware and not looking for it. And it is the honor, majesty, and magnificence of souls of true nobility to search for, investigate, and intimately examine the mystery. That is typically translated this way. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. Okay, so I'm going to read the way I translated it. It is the honor, majesty, and glory of the great one to hide or conceal a matter like a secret mystery, a hidden truth for those who are ready to know. It is concealed to those who are unaware and not looking for it. It is the honor, majesty, and magnificence of souls of true nobility to search for, investigate, and intimately examine the mystery. And this dream and this life we're living is the mystery. Are you investigating? Are you intimately examining the mystery? That comes from Proverbs chapter 25, and essentially it's saying that you awaken to your royalty when you realize you're doing the seeking. You're seeking, and the answers are coming. The answers are coming. How is this? I'm applying myself, and I'm realizing that by my application, the answers are being brought to me. And so this whole idea of having this power is simply that. By your seeking, the answers come to you. Now, everything in this world tells us, the world system that we live in is telling us a little bit of a different story, which is you must work hard for everything you would like to have. It's not saying, if you'll just apply yourself with a natural curiosity, everything will be brought to you. The highest intelligence, or this great I am, this cosmic intelligence that we have called God, has the power to withhold and reveal. And I'm telling you that you and this higher intelligence are one, and that you're working together. It seems to be a working together because of this 3D thing that we're bound to. But the mind isn't necessarily bound to the 3D. This is what happens when you dream. You start to see things in a different character or from a different realm. And I knew that the dwarf was me, and I knew elements of this dwarf are in you as well. Kings and queens have the unique position of leadership, in and from which a certain mandate is given to lead by the wisdom and love that flow from and as the great I am. The best of leaders will possess this heart which seeks the mysteries of the highest. They desire to understand, grow from, and utilize in service to all. In service to all. Beyond this, those who are not in positions of power but live with the character of devotion, love, and service to all understand the personal sacrifice it requires. They are born of and have arisen from the sacred. That's another way of saying the great I am, the sacred. In the kingdom of heaven, they are considered greater than earthly kings and queens. They are true leaders without man-made titles or lineage or man-made thrones. And I am very encouraged that you are, I don't know how to finish that sentence. You are is enough, right? Back to the I am, you are. You are. You are. You don't need a man-made throne or a man-made title or a plaque hanging on your wall. You were already born with the birthright of the sacred. It is the thing that is giving you the ability to hear me right now and to look back at me right now. It is pure conscious awareness. That is who and what you are. No one had to give it to you. You just are. And that is the timeless thing of it, the eternal nature of it. You simply are. And you will be. There is no end to that. Okay, so he said, let me revisit that. He says, the end is the beginning, and the end happens to be my true flame. So we're going to dive into that. In the book of Revelation, it typically reads something like, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I am. Now, at a simple, logical, three-dimensional level, it seems like one individual is saying he or she is. But I think we're all picking up on that the I amness is something beyond one singular individual. So it's like saying I am is the Alpha and the Omega. Can I ask you again, who's sitting in your chair right now?
I am.
Yeah. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, who is and was and is to come, the Almighty. The way I translate that is, I am pure consciousness and awareness without beginning or end. I am is that, the first, free of any other will or intervention, and in the same moment together with all will and intervention as the source. I am is that, the last. I am is where, when, and with whom it all began, and where, when, and with whom it will all end. Says the Most High, who which exists now, then, and comes next, the omnipotent, omnipresent, infinite field and container of life. Or, another way to translate it, I exist, the I in I, the one and only, unoriginated originator, first and independent I am. The endless finality. The great I am is the commencement and the principle and the precedent. The great I am is the point, the purpose and the goal, the cause and the effect, says the great one. The being and the beingness that is, the being and beingness that was, that being and beingness which is coming. The one and only, all in all, absolute, omnipresent, the present presence, in, with, and as all. Omniscient, the knower and seer, in, with, and as all. Omnipotent, the life force and strength, in, with, and as all. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, is another way it's been translated. Fear not, I am the first and the last. Fear not, you are the first and the last. You are one with that. Fear not, you are the first and the last. You are one with that. I'm just repeating it because it's powerful. Fear not. Fear not. We are the first and the last. Another way it gets translated sometimes is I am Alpha and Omega, or I am is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him, unto them, who are thirsty from the water of life freely, or from the fountain of the water of life freely, which is a way of saying I will give, and I gives from the source, the water, the sap of true life to those who desire it. I am that unending source given to all who truly long for it. So again, it is the longing that draws it to us. Seek and you will find, or ask and you shall receive. Like, because you are the royal children, which means there's a royal parent who's ready to give if you will simply ask. Where he's trying to go, in the dream he realizes where he's trying to go, what he's trying to accomplish is at the start. It's already done. What he's looking for is at the beginning. So the way this felt to me when I was seeing it in the dream was he was on this journey and there's all these routes. Like we're at the cliff overlooking the ocean, but behind us is all the trails that he's gone down and around. And he's finally going, I'm not taking any more trails. I know that if I just get back to the start, back to the beginning, everything I need is there. So, and he knows he has to climb down this rock wall to get to the entrance, which is dangerous and it seems crazy. And he's a dwarf after all, so he's got, short legs and short arms, and he's going to climb down this rock wall, and it just seems crazy, but he's so sure that it's worth it. And that's him seeking the mystery and really going after it. And I think it feels like that to all of us at times. Like, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this. But at some point, you also have the audacity to go for it, So there's something about the beginning, and I'm not sure that I think I barely have time to read this.
We have all the time there is.
Thank you. It typically says, if everything he's trying to accomplish is at the start or at the beginning, and the beginning and end are the same, there's this invitation in the scriptures. There's a passage in what's called the Gospel of Thomas, which is a pseudepigraphal book, meaning it wasn't considered worthy to enter into the canon of the Bible. I don't agree with that, which is why I won't want to quote from it, right? It says something like, the disciples asked, tell us how our ending will be. And he says to them, well, have you found the beginning that you're now looking for the end? So, yes. What I don't have time to do, and I'm just going to stay on task for now. In the beginningness, it typically says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1. Here's another way. It's a paragraph long versus 7 words. In the beginningness, the birth point, the start of it all, the time-space existence before time and space begins, the peaceful yet expectant wait before movement begins, the primal void, empty nothingness in the space where nothing but conscious awareness, pure mind, the original thought and thinker always is, was, and will be. It all blooms from there. The stillness, a timeless season or point of pure potential, possibility, and love. From this pivotal axis of readiness and creativity, everything begins a purposeful journey for better and for worse. All motion began and begins here at this magical, sacred, extravagantly creative moment where the sacred one, the intelligence, the diverse singularity, the beginningness, shaped the limitless universe of energy, immaterial, and sublime time, known as heaven, as well as the limited world of fixed energy, particle form, and material known as earth. This was done from and within an existence free of dimensions, a moment free of time, a space existence where no opposites or dissonance exist, by drawing upon unknown otherness to convert these two tendencies, heaven and earth, into knowable existing. The creative thought and sound began. So when he enters into this cave, he's entering into the beginning. And there are 3 more verses I would like to read here about the beginning, and I there's not time to do it. But do it, she says. Here's what I would like you to know, is that we can enter the beginningness. We can enter the beginningness through, I'm gonna say through meditation, but I typically call it meditation concentration, because just trust me for now, for time's sake, meditation concentration, we can enter into the beginningness. As I was reading that, you probably were forming a vision of what this primal void, empty nothingness was like. And that's a way of knowing that you can enter into it, because you're already seeing it. You were there at the beginning because I Am was always there. I'm going to read the rest in the way it's typically translated. Okay, it says the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. This is where he was, overlooking. It was dark, and you could tell there was water, but there wasn't any light. It was just like you could kind of see waves and movement. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. And that's why you can see it, because when the Spirit moves, Spirit is the same word for breath and wind. And where, the depths of the oceans are, there's always the wind there, right? And it moves the waters. So even if there's not light, you can tell that there's movement. Okay. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Oh, that's like expressing a new idea into existence, to say, "Let there be light." So then the Spirit of God, or the primordial breath, and the great dark, which is like pure potential, we see it as the depths of the ocean. We don't know how deep it goes, but we know there's life, and there's more than we understand, and feels like we could be swallowed up by it. The breath, or the wind, and the Spirit come together with the great dark in an intimate unity, and as a result, illumination comes forth, that which brings awareness to selfhood, or collective consciousness, or I-ness, or purposefulness of all. Particles and waves, everything. It brings with it the expression of every I as a reflection of the only I, and this is life. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. So as the dwarf is overlooking, he's standing at the beginning, and he knows he has to enter in. And when he enters in, there's a flame. He can see the light because he said the end is the beginning, and the beginning happens to be my true flame. The thing about the flame, I think we've all also experienced a bonfire or, a fireplace. And what is it about the flame? It's so captivating, how you can just stare for hours and it never gets old. The flame is like the source of alchemy, or the alchemizing source. It is, okay, there's a story of Moses where Moses is a shepherd. He's following his sheep up the mountain, and he sees what's called the burning bush, right? And the bush is engulfed in a flame, but not being burned. Okay, so that was the eternal flame that he saw, or it manifested to him. And I'm saying in the cave is where the eternal flame is. And you can enter into the beginning, and the eternal flame is there. And what the flame does is reveals I amness to you, because the flame and the bush as one speak to Moses and say, hey, I want you to go and do this or that. And Moses asks, but who are you? And it answers back, I am that I am. So the source of I amness, the source of conscious awareness, is being portrayed as an eternal flame. It never burns out. And this is the nature of life. This is the nature of conscious awareness. It's eternal nature. It burns on, and it doesn't need a source of fuel for itself. It is its own source. And that is the very thing that your heart is beating with in this moment. That eternal flame. The other thing about the flame and the mystery it is drawing us into, or calling us toward, is that it purifies. So all of these things that Tyrion Lannister, the dwarf in all of us, has to deal with, the unworthiness and the shame and so on and so forth, the flame is there like purifying gold, burning away all the dross, burning away all the impurities. The flame is there. You're born into this three-dimensional experience with all these imperfections that you perceive in your mind because of all of this three-dimensional drama that's going on, and the flame is going to burn that away. That's the new life. And we experience it in stages. The resurrection isn't just one event for any of us. You'll think you will know that you had victory on a certain circumstance, and then, 6 months later have something similar pop up, and you go, wait, I don't feel okay about that, but I thought I had overcome it. So it's time for a new upgrade or another resurrection, right? And you experience freedom in these stages. The other thing I wanted to mention about dream interpretation and meditation concentration, being led into the beginning, the beginningness, okay? I would like to offer, just if anyone's like, you know what, I would like to experience the beginning. Could you finish the rest of the Genesis story, and then take me there? It is an amazing experience. And once you do it, you might just know how to go there anytime you want from that point forward. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you. Thank you.